So yesterday, my son and I decided to watch Indiana Jones yesterday, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And in that movie, the Indiana Jones is looking for the Ark of the Covenant, which in the Bible is the box that contained the Ten Commandments, and it was supposed to symbolize the presence of God. And so the Israelites would carry it out before them in battle. And also the bad guys were looking for the ark as well because they wanted to use the ark and conquer the world by the power of the ark, I guess. And so, it's kind of funny when you watch Hollywood movies that deal with things from the Bible. Sometimes Hollywood wants to put their own spin on it. And, one thing they say in the movie is that anyone who wields the ark before them is invincible. And I'm going to share with you a story about the Ark of the Covenant that I really think is very interesting, and it kind of proves that point wrong, is that anybody who has the Ark with them is invincible. What happened, let me set up the story a little bit, is that the Israelites had went to war with Philistia, and they weren't honoring God with their lives. They weren't following His law. They weren't honoring Him. In fact, the priest at the time, Samuel, his sons were very dishonest in how they were handling sacrifices and treating people, and it just wasn't it wasn't honoring to God. So they went to war with Philistia. They brought the ark into the battle, and they lose the battle, which isn't supposed to happen according to the movie. If you have the ark, you're always supposed to win. And they lost the battle, and the ark, the Philistines captured the ark. And it was a very big deal because, the ark symbolized God's presence, and God's presence was gone. And so, it had appeared that God had been defeated. And so this is why I really like this story. And this is in 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 through 8, or 1 through 7. And it says this: After the Philistines captured the ark of God, they took it from the battleground at Ebenezer to the town of Ashdod. They carried the ark of God into the temple of Dagon and placed it beside an idol of Dagon. Now, Dagon was their false god that they worshipped. When the citizens of Ashdod went to see it the next morning, Dagon had fallen with his face to the ground in front of the ark of the Lord. So they took Dagon and put him in his place again. But the next morning, the same thing happened. Dagon had fallen face down before the ark of the Lord again. This time his head and hands had broken off and were lying in the doorway. Only the trunk of his body was left intact. That is why to this day, neither the priest of Dagon nor anyone who enters the temple of Dagon in Ashdod will step on its threshold. Then the Lord's heavy hand struck the people of Ashdod and the nearby villages with a plague of tumors. When the people realized what was happening, they cried out, "We can't keep the ark of the God of Israel here any longer. He is against us. We will all be destroyed along with Dagon, our God." And so what I really find fascinating about that is that God will defend His glory. It looked like God was defeated, and you can clearly see God wasn't defeated. He allowed that to happen. When they tried to dishonor God by putting the ark in the temple by their idol of their false god, you can see what happened. The false god fell down. It looked like he was bowing before the one true God, that was represented by the ark. And so it showed just how our God is real, their God is not. And so God defended His glory, and then He caused tumors to break out, and they were like, look, this God that the Israelites have is going to destroy us and our God too. So God defends His glory. The Israelites did not have to come rescue the ark. God defended His glory. And later in the story, you'll see how you can see how the ark returned to Israel, and the Israelites didn't have to go get it from the Philistines. The Philistines released it. And so you can just see the power of God. Even in defeat, God defends His glory. And so those of us who are called Christians that bear His name, God will defend His glory. And so that gives us peace, because we know that we bear His name, and He will defend His glory on our behalf as well. And so, He is not weak. Even when it looks like he's defeated, he's not defeated. He is working all things for our good, but also mainly for his glory.